Hello everyone, back to today's video. Going to do JMA Friday today. As always on a Friday, we're having a look at the Muppet with the Japanese and CFS V2 models. So it's going to take us into June. We're going to be start of the summer with this particular update. We'll start off with the Japanese Japanese model. Then we'll have a look at the CFS V2. After that, we're going to start off 500 of our heights from the JMA broken down to week periods. Just so you can see the links to both of these websites on the links page. So if you want to have a look at the chart, you can certainly do that by going to Gasovin's links page. So this is the 500 millibar height anomaly flowchart from the JMA for the next week. This is taking us from the 12th through to the 19th of May. This is from the pole down, so the North Pole is up here, and then the mid-latitudes are around the edges, just there. 500 millibars is an area in the actual high pressure, low pressure being moved around by a jet stream running above. And blue extrapolates to low pressure at below average heights. Yellow, the brighter colours, extrapolates to high pressure, which is above average heights. So for the coming week, this, as I say, is from the 12th to the 19th of May. We find we've got this ridge to the south. We've got low pressure out to the north and the west. It looks fairly unsettled and changeable, particularly so for northern and western parts of the country, more unsettled there. Drier down to the south and southeast, but not completely dry. You would have some influence from the low pressure and from the Atlantic. We go through to week 2, which takes us from the 19th through to the 26th of May. And what we find for this one is that the below average heights continue, and in fact they deepen to the north of the country. This ridge, it's still there to the southwest, but it's kind of easing away a little bit. So if anything going through to the end of May, the last stages of May, it looks like it's turning increasingly unsettled and increasing Atlantic influence being signalled there. Again, the south and southwest get the driest conditions, but I think the jet stream is coming down across the country. Now that would be quite an unsettling to May, particularly so for the north. And then we go through to weeks 3 and 4, and this takes us from the 26th of May through to the 9th of June. And we're parking a trough of low pressure right over the top of the country then. We have got a ridge up over Scandinavia and in the central Atlantic, but we're being placed on the cool side of the jet stream there. So we're under a trough and we're on the cool side of a jet. That looks like a very changeable start to June indeed. Could be quite a bit of rain perhaps with that, and that's a big change on what we've had over the past few weeks and months, of course, but that's what Model's suggesting. Quite a big change as we go through to the beginning of June. Let's have a look at the mid-latitude tropical view and see what the temperature and precipitation anomalies are doing for the next month. So just say the British Isles is just here in the top right-hand corner of the chart as you're looking at it on this particular view. So a reminder of the week 1 500 millibar height anomaly with the above average heights to the south and below average heights to the north and west, and the jet stream going through rather like that. It means that for temperatures, well, we're coming out with a warmer than average week, so it is going to be generally on the warmer side with the temperatures in the coming week from the 12th through to the 19th of June. Precipitation, however, is above average. It looks like it's going to be quite a wet week coming up, especially so for the north and west. Less so for the south and east, but really all parts of the country are getting above average rainfall with that one. Then we go through to week 2, which is the 19th through to the 26th of May. Above average heights easing to the south, below average heights up to the north of the country, and the jet stream probably coming through rather like that. Temperature anomalies are cooling off. We're still a little bit above average, but not as warm as the first week, so we're going closer to average, and we are seeing a cooling of the temperatures there. Precipitation, well, it's still a bit wetter than average for the north. For the south, it's actually going a little bit more on the drier than average side. So we cool the temperature down a bit, but we ease the precipitation a little bit perhaps. And then weeks 3 and 4, which takes us from the 26th of May through to the 9th of June. That's when we just stick the trough over top of the country. The temperature anomaly for those 2 weeks out the end of May into the start of June. Still more or less on the milder than average side, not a great deviation, but rainfall is above average. It's also like a very unsettled end to May and start to June. to say the least, with quite a bit of rainfall potentially there as that trough is sitting over the top of the country. So the JMA is suggesting quite a changeable month coming up, particularly to start off with, and then later on as we get through into the end of May and the beginning of June. What about the CFS V2? Well, again, these are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period takes us from the 12th through to the 18th of May. We find that we've got a very good representation of what the JMA is doing, actually. We've got above average heights to our south. We've got below average heights up to the north and west. So jet stream is going through rather like that. So it looks changeable, and particularly so for northern and western parts of the country. And then we get a change on what the JMA is doing for week 2. This is the 19th to the 25th. This is when the JMA is still looking unsettled, particularly for the north. What the CFS does, it builds this really quite big ridge out to the west of the country, which does place us on the cool side of the jet stream. We're doing that with the jet stream, but we are close to this ridge, so there'll be a lot of dry weather there, mostly fine conditions, just a little bit on the cool side, perhaps, especially, I would have thought, at night. And then real changes with CFS compared to the JMA for week 3. This is 26th of May to the 1st of June. This is when the JMA is parking that area of low pressure over the top of the UK. The CFS is just continuing this ridge out to the west of the country, extending across the Atlantic. We're doing something like that with the jet stream. So again, there's a lot of dry weather. We're blocking off the Atlantic. This trough just here down to the west of Portugal, that might be threatening thundery rain into southern parts of the country. It looks like it really is going through Spain and into France, and then over to eastern parts of Europe, with us staying under this ridge. But it could be threatening rain for the south. But it's a very different setup compared to what the JMA is showing for that period. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 2nd through to the 8th of June. And then we're taking above average heights up towards Greenland. So again, very different to what the JMA is showing. Above average heights, high pressure going to Greenland and Iceland. Below average heights down across Spain and Portugal, and some sort of ridge trying to get going across central parts of Europe as well. Now, if these two ridges were to extend to one another like that and form a big area of high pressure through there, then that could actually be a very dry and a very warm start to June, because what we would be doing, we would be pulling up the air from the south and the southeast. It's not really enough to go on with that, and of course this area of low pressure down here might be threatening rain, particularly into the south, and possibly even thunder. So very uncertain with the CFS as we're going through into the early part of June, I think. Let's have a look at the temperature anomalies. So for the next week, we're coming out warmer than average. Both models are in agreement for the coming week. It's from week 2 that things start to deviate, although the temperature anomaly is dropping. It's going back to average for week 2, the 19th to the 25th of May. So I suppose the JMA and the CFS are in agreement for that. It's just they're disagreeing on the way that drop in temperature happens. Then we go through to week 3, and we're coming out significantly warmer than average there. And week 4 is also looking significantly warmer than average. So I think, reading between the lines, CFS is probably trying to build a ridge from sort of Iceland and Greenland down into central parts of Europe, which will begin to pull up hotter air from the southern part of Europe, quite probably. And that is very, very different to what the JMA suggests. In terms of precipitation, the next week is wetter than average in the west, near normal elsewhere. Then we go drier than average across the country for week 2. Week 3 is also coming out drier than average. Remember, throughout this period, the JMA is much more unsettled. And then week 4, it's average, so perhaps it turns a little bit more unsettled there through week 4. I think it's very, very uncertain what the CFS is doing during that final week, which is the 2nd through to the 8th of June. So we have got disagreements here, we have got discrepancy between these two models, starting as early as just week 2, which is quite unusual. Normally they're in agreement for the first couple of weeks, and then they can deviate for the for weeks 3 and 4. So for the next week, it looks like it'll be quite changeable. It's going to be warmer than average, and there will be some rain around at times. It's from week 2, but it all gets rather uncertain, and that uncertainty just increases really as we go through to the end of May and into the start of June. But JMA looks very unsettled. The CFS looks a lot more settled. And based on the way things have gone over the past few weeks and months, I'll probably tend to go with the CFS on the more settled side of things, because we have been in a prolonged and pronounced period of dry weather, and of course it can break at any time, and it is possible that the JMA is on the right lines with this, having a much more unsettled month of it. But my hunch is that the CFS will be closer to how things turn out, and always, and that means always keeping it generally drier than typically would be expected at this time of the year. Right, that's all for now. We'll do a weekend forecast tomorrow. Other updates over the weekend will include we're going to on Sunday have Gaz Webby's roundup, of course. We'll have some more, also have some more summer analogues. And over this weekend, I'm not sure if it'll be tomorrow or Sunday, we're going to begin the countdown to the next bank holiday weekend. We're having a run of bank holiday weekends because Easter was so late. So the next bank holiday weekend, late spring bank holiday, is just coming into the time frame of the GFS. Now we'll begin our countdown to the final weekend of the spring, final bank holiday weekend of the spring. We'll could start that countdown sometime over the weekend, and also weekend forecast as always tomorrow. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.